That very 1-2 centimeters count, it takes quite a lot of, and we're there. Resolution and the performance of the video, they are essentially the same things. This guy would come in and get all charged up and leave much faster than I would. Is there going to be an all-wheel drive for EV3? Welcome to Cars in Korea. I introduce newly released Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia cars. As always, I am running out of time. I really have a brief, quick test drive with this 2025 Kia EV6 facelift. As you also have seen from the thumbnail, I am going to be comparing this EV6 facelift to that of 2025 Kia EV3. And you might be thinking, what's there to compare these two cars about? And well, you're not wrong. Well, first and foremost, EV3 being the smallest number and the baby brother, you might think EV6 would be the winner in all of the cases, but well, let's find out. There certainly has got to be a difference between the EV6 and EV3 for the obvious reason. I mean, the car size, the wheelbase, but also keep in mind that both cars are made of EGMP, Electric Global Modular Platform, which is an EV dedicated platform, first ever used from Hyundai Motor Group. The difference is that the EV6 has always been getting the real wheel driven version and then add an extra motor on the front, making that into an all-wheel drive, i.e. four-wheel drive. However, come EV3, it's Kia and also Hyundai Motor Group's first attempt to make a front-wheel driven version out of the EGMP platform. Due to the architecture, only the smaller motor fits in front of the EGMP, making the EV3 slightly over 200 horsepower. Whereas, if you go with the single motor with the EV6, i.e. having the larger motor on the rear, it actually is much more powerful. And also, while the car being a rear-wheel driven car, there is the distinctive difference which arises from a car being a rear-wheel driven car and also the front-wheel driven car. Well, you might be questioning, is there going to be an all-wheel drive for EV3? Well, right now there is only one variant, only a single motor on the front, making all EV3s front-wheel driven car, with the differences of having a regular model and a long-range model, and the difference only comes from different battery capacity. So put aside all of those, let me just quickly point out the differences between the EV6 facelift and the EV3, as I've been test driving the EV3 for the past whole week, over or nearly 1,000 kilometers, and that is putting together a good mix of the city drives and the freeway long distance drives. First and foremost, EV3 did an amazing job. It did clock 6 kilometers per kilowatt hour on an entire average. Once again, that is about 70 to 80% of highway driving only, going at a fast pace, because there was no traffic rush, traffic jam whatsoever. If you've been driving EV for some time, you guys know precisely what that means. That is just a great number that EV3 pumped out. FYI, if you are looking for exterior and interior review, be it EV3 or EV6, I have it all on my channel. I have a thorough review, both inside out, and also a test drive on each car. EV3 is coming up for sure, and I also am planning on doing a very long distance drive, long-term test drive with the EV6 facelift as well, so stay tuned for that. However, I'm shooting today's video while my muscle memories are fresh with the EV3, having it driven for the past 1,000 kilometers. I want to give you a back-to-back comparison with this EV6 facelift, because I know there are quite a lot of you guys who might be debating EV3 over EV6 or the other way around. Yes, it's of course a different price range, but when it comes to the EV3, it's not just about the price. That is intriguing when it comes to EV3, isn't it? Because some people actually have been really waiting on a small compact EV SUV that EV3 is, plus a long distance drive with a very high battery efficiency, once again, which EV3 is. All the performance I have clocked is under one of the severe harsh condition for an EV, because I've been running the AC the whole time, 80% of highway freeway driving, not so much opportunity for the car to use the regen brake to the maximum, so please do keep that in mind. I am 100% certain that people will be clocking over 8 kilometers, if not 9. My peak efficiency, I actually did clock 10 kilometers myself when the condition conditions are met, conditions are perfect, that is not impossible thing to achieve. A lot of going over this and that in terms of the driving distance, efficiency and all, but let me point out things that I feel immediately. This is the ultimate thing that I loved about EV3. That is choosing different levels of iPedal. Whereas that's not the case with EV6 facelift. You can only go all the way up to one level of iPedal, which will only utilize the maximum regen force possible. It is one pedal driving of other manufacturers if you didn't know. So as soon as you lift your foot off the accelerator, the car will use the maximum regen to slow down the car, allowing you to drive the vehicle with 1 foot and 1 foot only. So you'll get used to it in no time. However, EV3, you can actually control the levels of the iPedal all the way from 0, 1, 2, 3, giving you 4 different options of iPedal levels, of which you can set it similar to that of the ICE cars. So that way it allows you and the passengers to feel that natural behavior movement of the cars that are similar to ICE cars, which often is #1 factor that makes the ICE drivers reluctant to switch over from their ICE to their first EVs. So that was definitely a huge plus. Depending on how you would like to drive the vehicle, you can set the strength of the regen brake on the iPedal. However, I'm not just going to praise about the EV3 only just for that. EV6 also has the auto drive mode, which will use the regen brake necessary to control the distance of the vehicle in the front. And also when you slow down, when you actually slow down on a downhill, i.e. when you actually apply the foot brake on a downhill, the car will also know that you want to go slow on a downhill, keeping at a constant speed. So you don't have to turn on the downhill speed assist every time you drive. Just leave it at the auto mode. We are good to go. The auto mode is what I actually always had turned on while driving around in that EV3, just like that. There is only one level of iPedal set at maximum, as you can see, and use the other pedal shifters, it only lowers the level of the regen brake, and that's it. So you see there's only one level of iPedal, unlike the EV3. Well, one more thing I'd like to point out, the display, both 12.3-inch monitors left and right, and the car also has built-in Cam 2.0, which now records both front and rear of the vehicle with the audio. And I will actually include the footage of the EV3 and EV6 of the built-in cam so we know how they differ. Well, in terms of the resolution and the performance of the video, they are essentially the same thing, so it shouldn't differ all that much. But because where they are located, oh, I didn't even tell you this, I'm sorry. So EV6 facelift I'm driving is also single motor, rear wheel driven. I mean, it is more powerful than the EV3, as I've mentioned at the start of the video, but EV6 is actually more powerful. However, EV6 being longer, heavier, the way they perform from the stop to picking up the speed like I did right now, it actually feels quite similar to what I felt with the EV3 actually. Quite surprising there. But there sure is the difference of the car pushing from the rear wheel drive to that of the front wheel drive. It is quite powerful. Again, nothing I would complain about, but funny, it actually feels quite the same to that of the EV3. Well, that being said, let's test it out one more time, put it on the sport mode, and here we go. You can probably see it takes quite a lot of, and we're there. So it takes quite a lot of time for the car to pick up the speed, obviously, and not the most powerful car. The way it picks up the speed, the acceleration is quite similar to that of the EV3 in terms of the performance wise. So if you actually drag race these two cars, I don't think you'll see a dramatic differences, or if not, I don't think you'll see any, to be honest. But well, the way it drives, to be honest, EV6 is clear winner here. It probably has to do with the longer wheelbase, the EV6 having 2.9 meters, 2900 millimeters, so it has more room for shock absorbers to absorb the energy from the front and the rear. Car being a bit more heavier, it has the tendency to suppress any residual shocks coming into the cabin and so forth. You will feel immediately, I am feeling immediately that EV6 is much more cozier than EV3. I'm not saying EV3 provides like that kind of a sports car-like suspension and drive. No, EV3 is also a comfortable, cozy car. I even test drove it with my wife Dima, who suffers big time from motion sickness, and she had no problem whatsoever traveling together in EV3 long distance drives all the way from Seoul to Busan. You can count on it. Just for that ride alone, I would say that it's all worth the money and investment for you to choose EV6 over EV3. But also going back to what I was originally saying, it's not just the price factor that reels people into getting and thinking themselves to get EV3 to be an option over EV6. EV3 is a compact EV SUV that you can just freely roam around, move around. You're going to have far less stress over parking the vehicle. Not everywhere in the world has plenty of large size parking lots. Sometimes that very 1-2 centimeters count when it comes to parking your vehicle and so forth. That is the huge advantage EV3 has over EV6. But to be honest, putting aside all the benefits that EV3 has over EV6, which mostly has to do with the physical size of the car, put aside all of that, well, EV6 clearly is the winner in pretty much everything. Well, what about the design for you? My vote goes to EV6, to be honest. I always thought that EV6 is one of the best looking EV out there from Hyundai Motor Group, hands down. I'm sorry Ioniq 5, but I gotta be blunt and honest here. Like, my vote goes out to EV6 over Ioniq 5 on this one. Ioniq 5, however, I would choose right now if I were to get myself an EV between the two because of the size of the trunk and also how it feels on the second row seat, which also has to do with the physical shape and the size of the vehicle. So if you are okay with the sacrifices you have to make with the EV6, things that I've just listed right now, if EV6 checks a lot of boxes on that aspect, I would definitely say go get yourself an EV6. It's truly an amazing car. And as I have mentioned on my previous test drive with the EV6 facelift, it has much more smoother, cushiony, comfy ride over the pre-facelift. It is more fit for this cozy city drives, which I guess EV6 lacked just a little bit thanks to the upgraded hydro bushings and also improvements that Kia has made on the EV6 facelift. All of this you will feel immediately, and I am feeling it immediately as I am driving over harsh road conditions, as you've been seeing throughout. So let's talk about the interior. I know the AC controller in the middle is missing that 5-inch display dedicated for the AC and AC only. So a bit rapid turn right here, you see? Oh God, look at this. You can just easily, without a hassle, you can have fun with the EV6, I'll give you that. It's always been like that. FYI, you can drift EGMP cars. You can have a lot of fun with EV6 and Ioniq 5, no problem. As always, I am really running out of time. Let me actually take a seat and readdress all of the traits that EV6 has over EV3 and the other way around. Just look at this, the way it goes over the speed bump too. It's just so cozy. The same thing applies if it were EV3. It would be much more easier for you to just swiftly drive through the city traffic and all, whereas EV6 is not a small size car, right? So you actually need a bit more attention with the EV6. Well, as you can see, there is no display for the AC unlike the EV3. That was quite handy. Well, thanks to that, all the other buttons were gone. So instead of toggling through these, Kia did a brilliant job of saving the space sleek, so providing much more spacious interior. However, I really did like that AC controller sitting in the middle, which trickled down all the way from EV9, right? Flagship design was applied on EV3, whereas EV6 didn't get it. yet. Most likely with an all-new EV6, next EV6 to come, we will probably see that too, making this display a bit outdated. And also we know that Kia has been using this display for some time now. However, I know a lot of people are a big fan of this. I actually like this one too. But however, I really have to give it to EV3 on this one. I liked the buttons right here with the haptic feedback. That made it look much more upscale and luxurious, and it was very practical and usable too. Still has frequently used buttons here, and the volume and the good old zoom in, zoom out to a tune knob on the right. So that is a plus. And coming back to this console, ventilated heated seats, heated steering wheel, self-explanatory. On this one, I gotta give it to EV3 because EV3 had physical buttons on the left, just like these memory seats, and I think I personally prefer that one much more. Some of these things I actually do like the good old-fashioned way of having a physical buttons, which these are not. So fingerprint recognition system, the rotary type, whereas it was the column type for the EV3. Both of the cars get a nice HOD, hands-on detection, meaning you only have to keep your finger 2 or more fingers anywhere within the steering wheel. The car will not ask you to hold on to your steering wheel. The other things are quite self-explanatory. Oh, this is the winner here for the EV6. Wireless charging pad for your smartphone and 2 different sizes cup holders here. However, with the EV3, I actually had to put the phone down all the way there. I also had to lean down in order to get my cups in and out of the cup holder. Well, thanks to that, we could utilize much more wider interior space with a sliding table here. I know which not everybody likes. I don't know, what's your pick on that? Let me know, tell me in the comment below. With the center console, I actually do like the traditional, the conventional, the good old-fashioned with the armrest and the storage inside. I actually do prefer this layout over EV3. However, this design was made possible thanks to EV6's larger size interior, and EV3's interior also just goes along very well with the car. And FYI, both of the cars are GT line that I have test driven. What we are seeing, the interior differences, we are seeing the difference between one car being an EV6 and the other being an EV3, i.e. bigger brother and smaller brother of a family. Let me also show you the second row seat. Once again, all of this I have gone through on my previous video. Both of the cars have V2L in and out of the car. And of course, the most important thing, EV6 supports up to 800 volts. When it comes to charging, it can do 10 to 80% charge in 18 minutes. That sometimes is a big difference when you need to just charge up and get moving. And if you guys been there, you guys know what I mean. It's sitting inside the car, you've been charging, this guy would come in and get all charged up and leave much faster than I would. And that is all because of the differences of the architecture and the platform that EVs use. Well, so that's it for today's quick comparison of the EV3 and EV6. I think I've covered and shared pretty much what I have felt immediately driving back and forth the EV3 for 1,000 kilometers and EV6 right here. This is my like 3rd, 4th time test driving EV6, so I also do have a good idea of that, right? All right, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe Cars in Korea if you did. I will see you in the next video. And I am working on my EV3 long distance and long-term test drive video as I speak, so please stay tuned for that. And thanks for your patience. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.